Hi everyone. We're Team 3 and we're going to be telling you a little about malaria prevention and community protection. The- oh, God.
Hi, I'm Anika and I'm from North Carolina.
I'm Nikita and I'm from California.
I'm Nasuna and I'm from Maryland.
I'm Rollins, and I'm also from Maryland.
I'm Maria Jose and I'm from Southern California.
I'm Carla and I'm from Bethesda, Maryland. So, what is malaria? Malaria is a very common parasite that is transmitted by infected female mosquitoes. This parasite is, again, as I said, very common as it affects 40% of the world's population, especially affecting the northern parts of Nigeria. One of the reasons this parasite is so prevalent all over the world is due to its somewhat inconvenient prevention measures, including lack of accessibility to some of these prevention methods.
Okay, so some personal prevention methods against malaria include insect repellent, mosquito nets, and wearing long sleeve clothing. So most of these methods are actually proven to be quite effective. Recently, in a study by UNICEF, it was shown that mosquito nets can actually reduce malarial incidence by almost 50%. Insect repellent is also really effective, but it does require you need to be applying it every 3 hours to stay protected. And long sleeve clothing is also really effective, but it might be difficult for people to enforce it if the temperatures are high. Um, Using these methods in everyday life could look like using mosquito nets before going to bed, you constantly using insect repellent and being consistent. Using long sleeve clothing when you can.
So along with personal protection measures, it's also important to acknowledge the environmental protection measures. So every home should have a family-sized mosquito net over its bed just to protect everyone in the family, not just some individuals. And teaching people about the local local materials and ingredients they can use to prevent malaria can be incredibly beneficial for both the country's economy and their health. So because sometimes chemical mosquito repellents may be unavailable, they can use ingredients they find near them to create mosquito repellents that work for them. And also, some people who make these repellents can make products using them and sell them to people, creating a business and making profit. And it's also important to note that stagnant water is essential for mosquitoes to lay their eggs in and where they reproduce. So if you ever have stagnant water in your home, it's important to get rid of it before a mosquito can lay eggs in it. Otherwise, like in the picture, it'll lay all its eggs in the water, and then you'll have a lot of mosquitoes in your home, and you're gonna be more likely to get bitten by them, meaning you're gonna be more likely to get malaria.
All right. So in addition to those environmental prevention methods, you can see we have some more on the screen over here. And the first one is having community events to educate the Bauchi population. And this is important because it kind of gives them an outlook of what they need to prevent the disease malaria. So that's really important for them to know. The next bullet point we have is spreading the word and raising awareness to the population. So the goal here is to kind of piggyback of the first point that I said about having events to educate the population. So we want those people who are already educated to spread the word to the rest of the community if they don't know already. The next thing we have is to have engaging activities that are interactive for the community. And this is really important because they're really memorable for the people of Bauchi. So yeah, we have that up there for that reason. And last but not least is to explain the benefits and plus sides of having preventative measures to malaria. So
With our workshop, we are coming in as a foreign organization. So there are three important things that we must remember while working in Nigeria. The first thing being that our audience has to be relevant to the situation. So malaria, some of the high risk groups that live within the Bauchi community include pregnant women and children under 5 years old. So which is why our workshops will be targeting children, pregnant women, but also it's important to think about influence. So the influence within the community, we're going to try to bring in influential women who are able to talk through the community and tell the community about, oh, this works. And because it's more reliable when you listen to people you trust within the community. And also we're planning on using a lot of collaboration. We're not focusing on implementing our methods. We want to collaborate with the community, which is why, as you will see later in the workshops, our focus is more on helping the community in different ways by giving ideas, but not forcing them to use those ideas because they're very much capable on their own because they know what their community wants.
Okay, before I get into the explanation of our first workshop, the main thing that we're going to be using is citronella oil, which is basically in lemongrass, which is very abundant in Nigeria. There's a compound called citronella, and actually a study by the National Library of Medicine says that lemongrass has shown a relevant effect in repelling mosquitoes. And this is actually because in a 2011 paper by a professor in Thailand, it shows that the mosquitoes are attracted to carbon dioxide and lactic acid. And what the citronella does is that it covers up this scent and messes with the mosquito's oil olfactory receptor, which basically acts as an effective repellent. And so what we do want to do with the citronella oil is it is made from the plants that are abundant in Nigeria, which is the lemongrass. So we're going to use that to create it since it can produce the what we need for it, and also it'll repel mosquitoes due to the citrus scent because it'll mask the scents that the mosquitoes are attracted to. And it is also a multi-purpose product because through the workshop we also do want to give them ideas, like Anika said, that they can do not only just make the citronella oil, but they can also incorporate it into their lotion or skincare products, or they can even use it in oil lamps or candles so that they can even have more things around their house that can also repel the mosquitoes. Okay, so for our workshop, the main audience that will be attending are women. And so it'll take about 35 minutes. And what we intend to do is provide the citronella plant, and you will also need rice bran because Nigeria is the #1 producer of rice in all of Africa. So rice bran is basically, if you see the picture right there, it's on the inside, and it's an excess kind of product. So they'll be able to use it for this. And so you will take the rice bran and the lemongrass, and then you'll crush them. And then you leave it out in the sun for 48 hours, sieve it, and then you do have the citronella oil. And
so as you can see, this is the design for our handouts. In each of the workshops, we would give these out, and each of these would include an ingredient list and instructions on how to make their own citronella oil. And these would be available in English and Hausa.
So while the women and the mothers are making the citronella oil, their kids and all the children there are going to be learning a children's song or a nursery rhyme about how to prevent malaria. So we're teaching this to kids 5 and under because they're some of the most susceptible groups for getting malaria. And teaching all these prevention methods to them at such a young age helps them continue all these methods throughout their life and avoid getting malaria. So a 2019 study by the Joe LaMango's Children's Hospital says that toddlers memorize facts when they're sung to more easily and effortlessly than if they were taught the facts by speaking, and they follow simple instructions given to them through songs. So we thought this teaching them the song would be beneficial for them and help them protect themselves from malaria. And they would also go home and teach their parents, families, and communities these songs, even if they are adults, to also teach them how to prevent against malaria. So this is the song. It's to the tune of the alphabet song. And we chose this because it can be easily translated into Hausa and it would still work with the tune and you wouldn't have to worry much about rhyming. And it would be catchy and easy and simple for them.
All right, so the next activity we have up here is the mosquito net demonstration. And essentially what this is a visual demonstrative on how protective measures can prevent disease. So how this works is you have 2 cups, a strainer, and you also have some beans. The 2 cups represent human beings. The strainer represents a mosquito net, and the beans represent the mosquitoes. So what you're gonna do first is you would put both of the cups down and you would put a strainer on top of one while you leave the other exposed. The next thing you would do is you would take the beans and you would kind of drop them on both of them. And it shows how the exposed cup gets affected and the one protected by the mosquito net doesn't get affected. So the point of this is to kind of show the audience how it works in Hausa. And it just it's a visual demonstration so that they can easily remember it better.
This is our budget. So we ended up spending less than $200, which because we actually looked at prices from across the world. So we looked at prices from China, like the Hong Kong mainland area also. And we also looked at Canadian prices and USA prices. And what we found was that there are a lot of materials available but at extremely cheap prices despite the quantity, which is why we are planning to spend less than $200. But if we do have more people than we expect to have at the workshop, we're easily able to buy more quantities to help with that. And these are our resources.
Hi guys, that was very nice. I like the translation to Hausa. It was funny because I could really only understand like 3 sentences, but then I get the spirit and the spirit is excellent. So good job with that. I like the idea as well with showing them how mosquito nets work. But then after showing them, is there anything else that you intend to do apart from just showing? And for the citronella oil, that's also a really good idea. So the plan is that you would actually have a citronella oil making class during your workshop. So they go home with the oil as well? Okay, fantastic. I guess those are all my questions. Good job. Okay.
Prevention, they say, is better than cure. It was a wonderful presentation, and I like how you chose your target audience who are or one of your high risk groups, which are children, and you modified your workshop around children because if you teach parents or adults, they might forget to teach the child, or the child might decide to go to school, boarding school, or somewhere away from the child, from the parent. What I'm trying to say is that, for example, if the parent decides to buy a mosquito net to hang in the room of the child, and now the child has to go to school or somewhere else to stay for a week, how you guys are away from your parents at this point. Okay, so what then happens? Will the child pick up the net, or especially if the child does not know the importance of prevention? So I like the idea that you chose kids and you chose a children's song. There are some things that when I forget, for example, the months of the year, this is a 30 days of September, if June, some of these things the songs I learned from childhood, I still use them and they still help me. So it was a wonderful and realistic idea, which I'm sure will gonna work. And if possible, I think other NGOs, even in Nigeria, will copy this idea because I have not seen it before. Yeah, yes, I haven't seen it. And I think I will ensure that this idea actually will be among the first to be implemented because I haven't come across it anywhere. Thank you so much and well done, well done, well done, guys. Congratulations.
Truly a very nice and practical job. Thank you, guys. That's all I could say. Yeah, well done, guys. Yeah.